never stays a day. A bad luck's always coming my way.
For today's Grimm adventure, we find ourselves in San Pedro, California, visiting a place known as Sunken City. And basically, it's just a whole bunch of rumble falling over a cliff down into the ocean, and every year the earth keeps eroding and it keeps falling a little bit more. But it didn't always used to be like this. You see, back in the 20s, this was a developed site. There were houses here, there was a gas station, there was a hotel, and even a railroad. Right now, I'm walking on one of the streets that still is in existence today. But back in 1929, there was a landslide that happened. I think it said every day the earth moved 11 inches. Every day, 11 inches, until finally this whole area just kind of dropped off over the cliff down into the ocean. And if you get pretty close to the cliffs and look out way over the water, that's Catalina Island. If you know anything about the death of actress Natalie Wood, you know what Catalina Island is. At some point, I'd like to go out there and do a video. The area above the cliffs, which is also the trailhead that goes down to the water, is pretty much just open, abandoned land. You see those concrete slabs right there? That's where the hotel used to stand. It wasn't a big hotel. That fence, from everything I read online, it was built in 1987 because a lot of people were coming out here to commit suicide jumping over the cliffs down into the water. Believe it or not, the Sunken City isn't even what brings us out here today. You see, this place is also a filming location to the movie The Big Lebowski. In fact, where they attempted to spread Donny's ashes is right over this cliff right here. This is gonna blow your mind. When I say cliff and I talk about a landslide, I mean it. And look at this. I'm not gonna get too close to the edge, but looking down, man, this is something else. Now there's a path that goes down there. And where they filmed The Big Lebowski, the ashes scattering scene, is right there in the center of your screen. Got to be careful, but we can walk up to it. All right, so let's try to line up some shots. As Jeff Bridges and John Goodman walk out to the point with the Folgers can with the ashes of Donny, who's played by Steve Buscemi, you get an establishing shot from right about here. Now, it looks the same, but at the same time, it looks a lot different because corrosion is still happening. Erosion is still happening, I should say. But that is where they were standing, right up there on that rock in the center of your screen. I do want to point this out. The exact spot they were standing when they dumped Donny's ashes is no longer there. It fell into the ocean. Corrosion, right? We're going to get down there. We're going to line up shots as best as we possibly can. This is it. It's just changed so much over the years. We got to be really careful and watch our footing walking down the hillside, but the trail is pretty well made out. Now, one of the things I love about this scene and doing this location instead of all the other Big Lebowski filming locations is two things that we love to film here at the Grimm Life Collective. The first one being filming locations, the other one being famous graves. And there's a lot of horror movie icons like Alfred Hitchcock and Vincent Price who don't have a grave that you can visit, that they've been cremated and their ashes were scattered at sea, this sea. And there's no documentation of that, no pictures or no video, at least not that I've seen. So this kind of covers them both, right? Donny's ashes, well, what they attempted. This is pretty cool to look at. So I'm just gonna keep the camera facing this way for the most part as I walk along one of the old streets. And then, once we line up the shots that we need, we'll go back through and take a look at this trail and some of the other things that are hidden down here that collapse down into the ocean. I know I'm pointing at the camera pretty much at the sun, and I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. But I got to try to capture it. And we are almost there. Basically just got to stay on this old road. Should be just on the other side of that palm tree. Not much further to go, that's for sure. And because it's so early in the morning, I'm pretty much the only person here. There's some people in boats out on the water, birds. It definitely feels like we're walking through some alien universe or post-apocalyptic world, right? I mean, I guess technically it is. It's just fallen into the ocean. Now those are the cliffs that can be seen behind them as they're standing on the rock. Now when it comes to filming locations to the movie The Big Lebowski, of course I'm a fan. And I'd love to see the locations, but a lot of them really aren't there anymore. The bowling alley has been torn down. There's an elementary school there. And everything else, aside from the interiors, is kind of lackluster to look at to me. So if I'm gonna at least visit one Big Lebowski filming location, it's got to be this one. I guess really the most nerve-wracking thing is, what if all of this falls down with me on it? Well, Jessica knows I'm out here. She doesn't like that I'm out here by myself roaming these cliffs. So this is going to be like a one and done. All right, now that we're up here, let's line up some shots. Where we were starting, where we were showing the establishing shot, was taken from right up there. There's my shadow. You know that old story that if you're in an elevator and it's falling and if you jump, you'll kind of save your life? I'm kind of under that mentality. If for some reason I notice that the ground starts shifting and falling, I'm just gonna jump one way or the other. I mean, in theory that works. Probably gonna end with the same result, but at least I'm here, living life. Yeah. And John Goodman would have stood right here, looking out over the water, taking it in, remembering his friend. It is absolutely beautiful. You kind of have to stop and just take it in. Close your eyes and breathe a deep breath.
Donny was a good bowler and a good man.
But if we turn and point the camera this way, you can see the cliff as well as that tree right there. You can see those behind John Goodman and Jeff Bridges as they do that scene where John Goodman, he starts doing the eulogy and he says, Donny was a good bowler and a good man. Also, looking at the cliff face, you see that crack right there? In the scene where John Goodman dumps Donny's ashes from the Folgers can and it blows back into the face of Jeff Bridges, you can see that behind Jeff Bridges as his ashes hit him.
Good night, sweet prince.
With how this place looks today, I think we did a pretty good job at lining up the shots here. Again, things have changed so much. If you do come out here, please be safe. You can definitely get hurt if something goes wrong here. And if you're out here by yourself like I am, it might not be the smartest thing. But I think this is it. And if you disagree, well, yeah, you know, like, it's just your opinion, man. Now that we got the filming location part of it done, let's explore this place a little bit. A lot of people come out here to party, and a lot of people come out here to do their art, their graffiti. If you look right here, right on this hillside, there's one that says a wolf, and then there's SpongeBob SquarePants right next to the ocean. I will say this, there's definitely a bunch of spray cans and a bunch of garbage down here in the ravine. and some wildlife. Oh, there's somebody sitting over there. Recently, somebody left a comment on one of our videos that while watching our videos, they noticed that in a lot of them, there's not many people. Well, that's on purpose. Usually whenever I'm filming, if I see somebody, I turn the camera off and I will sit off to the side, wait, 'cause I don't ever want to ruin somebody's experience, even if that person is homeless and they're sitting at the base of a cliff, just taking in the scenery. Yeah, so a little tidbit of information. Most of the time, I try to keep all living creatures out of our videos, if I can help it. We have to get a closer look at that pink skull that was behind me. That's kind of cool. And then right behind it, right over this way, you see that stone that's kind of like in the shape of a tombstone right in the center of your screen. There's definitely a lot of graffiti here. And when it comes to graffiti, it's always changing, especially something like this, like an environment where things get weathered. But if you remember at the very beginning of this video, at the start of this video, I mentioned railroad tracks, that there was a train that used to come through here. So at some point, somewhere around here, you can actually see the railroad tracks coming out of the hillside. So that's what I'm looking for. That's the exploring part of it. Well, let's go over this way. So what you're looking at right now is the earth. And then right above it, you can actually see the concrete, the pavement. So technically, it's just like walking through the streets, like underneath the streets. Oh, please don't fall on me. Pretty crazy, right? I wonder if we can get up there. Oh man, look at that. You see it? The wooden beam from the train tracks. And if I look over this way, you can see the rail as well. So does that mean that this slab of concrete that looks like a street at one point covered the train tracks? That's crazy. Oh yeah, I can see it from here. Oh man, this is cool. So down here on this side, you can actually see the tracks going into the hill. Man, that's pretty wild. Look at that. That's crazy that that is still here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really enjoying this peaceful walk through the sunken city. Oh wow, there's a cross up there. This is something else. I cannot believe that we live here in California. Truly something else. And with that being said, thank you for joining us on another Grimm adventure, this time visiting the ruins known as Sunken City here in San Pedro, California. Also, where they attempted to scatter Donny's ashes in the movie The Big Lebowski. Till next time, happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck. that never stays a day. A bad luck's always coming my way.